So today I'm going to be giving you all my first impressions and review of the 2021 M1 chip iPad Pro. If you guys haven't seen my unboxing video, be sure to click the card on the screen and let's go ahead and get started with the video. So starting off with pros, I would say that the first pro that I've noticed is that the battery life is actually really excellent. I've pretty much been using my iPad Pro to replace all of my viewing experiences. So I love to watch YouTube, I watch TV shows, I have different streaming apps, and I've used them all on my iPad Pro, and the viewing experience is fantastic. Even though the battery life is fantastic, it's also really fast charging. So for what a powerful device that it is, it really doesn't take that much time to charge, and I only have found myself needing to charge it about once a day. So as I mentioned, I've pretty much been using my iPad Pro to watch anything and everything that I can, and the volume and sound on it is actually really amazing. I was actually really surprised at how great the sound was. I wasn't really expecting the sound quality to be anything since no one really talks about that. That's just a nice little added bonus that I didn't really think would make a difference in my viewing experience. Next, I want to talk about a couple of things that I noticed with the design. So if you did watch my unboxing video, you know that I kept on repeating this one word, light. I wouldn't stop saying it, but I would say that it is literally the perfect size. The design, the actual design of the iPad Pro is amazing. So as you can tell, I can hold it super comfortably in one hand. That's actually what I've been doing. It really is the perfect size. So if you want something that is super lightweight, really easy to carry around, you can use with one hand, isn't heavy, you're not going to be having your fingers like hurting by holding it, then this is really the perfect iPad for that. In terms of the processor, this does have the M1 chip, and I would say that it's actually pretty fast. It's only frozen on me once, which I think is okay because I've been using it pretty extensively these past couple days, or I guess past 2 days rather. Probably my favorite pro, besides its lightweightness, but probably my favorite pro of the iPad Pro is the multitasking features. So this actually is just an iPad OS feature. It's not really specific to the iPad Pro. I am the type of person that has like so many instances of applications open. I wouldn't say I'm like crazy about tabs. Like I can't have a lot of tabs open, but I love to have like a YouTube video on in the background while online shopping, and you can actually do that on the iPad. The iPad OS features are really great for multitasking. So if you're scared that you're going to be stuck on only one screen while using your iPad, that really isn't the case. I've been utilizing the multitasking feature a ton, and it's probably, like I said, my favorite thing about, I guess I can say it's my favorite thing about the software. So next I want to talk about a couple of things that are kind of like in the middle, and these things are actually in the middle just because I think they're just going to take time for me to get used to. So the first one is that obviously it doesn't have a home button. So it has the same design as the iPhone 10 as well as all the other previous generations of the iPad Pro. I have an iPhone 8 Plus, so I'm really used to having a home button, and I'm still getting used to all the gestures without having a home button. But I think after some time, like it's only been about 2 days, I will be able to actually get the iPad gestures down. That is going to be it for the pros and things that are in the middle, and now let's get into the cons. So my first qualm actually probably comes from the fact that I don't have a iPhone 10 and above. I have an iPhone 8 Plus, like I mentioned before, that uses the home button, but I hate Face ID. I really do. It has such a hard time recognizing me, and I really prefer Touch ID because I don't look the same all the time. I can wear makeup, I can change my hair. There's so many different things that I can do that won't make me look the same all the time. My fingerprint is always the same. I love having Touch ID on my MacBook Pro, but using Face ID on this thing, I'm not a fan of it. The next couple of cons are actually all pretty interrelated to each other, and they have to mainly do with the iPad OS. So the first one is that you can't download third-party desktop applications. So obviously this is an iPad, no duh, and it runs iPad OS. If you have a MacBook, you're able to download desktop apps because it's running Mac OS. There are some applications that haven't been created into iPad OS, whether or not there's just like not a market for them or people just aren't interested in creating them, because obviously if you are a developer, it's going to cost a lot more money for you to create an iPad OS app versus maybe just having a Mac app and an iOS app. The next one is I can't use my Chrome browser extensions. So I know this is kind of a silly and oddly specific one, but I really wish you could use the Chrome browser extensions or plugins on the iPad. I have a ton of them on my MacBook, and I really miss being able to use them. The next one is that you can have different instances of applications open. So either I haven't figured this out or it's true, but really on the only app that you can have different instances or windows of the application open is Safari. I found that you can only have one instance of each application open. So that's kind of something that's, you know, it's all of these things that I'm really having qualms with are just software things. I wouldn't have to buy a new iPad, obviously, if Apple came out with like iPad OS. I don't even know what OS they're on, but you understand what I'm saying. And then the last one is that there are some apps not available. So I kind of hinted at this at the beginning, that if you are a developer developing apps, more people are likely to develop apps for Mac OS and then iOS, but they're probably not going to develop an app for the iPad OS. I would say that there are some apps that are kind of lacking, or they might charge you to buy them on the iPad, and it makes sense to me, but it's just kind of annoying to have some apps that you want to use on your iPad and either having to pay for them even though that they're free on your phone and MacBook, or they're just simply not available. So those are really all my first impressions of the iPad Pro, and finally I want to give my overall thoughts. I would say that so far I've only really used the iPad Pro for simple tasks, so I haven't really had a chance to test any of its powerfulness with the M1 chip. I've used it for photo editing, but I didn't use like Photoshop or anything. I haven't used it for anything that's really extensive. I would say that it's really great for simple tasks and just, kind of viewing experiences, which is what I wanted to start off with. And then of course in the next couple weeks, maybe a couple months, when I have a chance to finally utilize the iPad Pro to its fullest potential, then I'll give a more in-depth review and really be able to judge whether or not I think the M1 chip is actually something that's, worth all the hype. Overall, in general, the iPad Pro is not a laptop replacement. So I know that's kind of taking a complete tangent from, pretty much anything else I was talking about, because I wasn't really trying to say that this is a laptop replacement, but I've seen it advertised as a laptop replacement, and I think the fact that there's just not enough iPad OS apps, and you really can't download third-party software onto it because it's not it doesn't run Mac OS, and a lot of developers don't develop software for iPad OS. I don't think it's actually a laptop replacement. I keep on seeing all those Microsoft Surface Pro commercials when it compares the Microsoft Surface Pro 7 to the iPad Pro. And, in that case, if you are actually looking for a tablet and laptop, I didn't mean to throw a rec in here, but I would say probably go for the Microsoft Surface Pro 7, just because that's going to be running Windows, which is a desktop operating system, versus, once again, this is running iPad OS. Overall, I don't think this is a laptop replacement. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. I know it was pretty quick and rapid fire, but I just wanted to give you all some of my basic thoughts about the iPad Pro now that I've had it for just about 2 days. So if you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to give it a like. Also subscribe to my channel if you are new, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye guys.